Dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Vidya for Success. Yes, children, so far in this lesson, we have completed the study of the stem as well as we have completed root. So now we are moving to the study of one more morphological part, that is leaf. So what do you mean by leaf? So leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure born on the stem. So the formation of a leaf takes place on the surface of stem, right? So generally, if you look into the leaf, it is a flattened structure. So the surface of leaf is flat and it is actually attached to the stem on the lateral surface. So from the side of the stem, leaf will be get arises. Then which portion of the stem lead to the formation of leaf? So there is a particular points in the stem. From that particular point, the formation of leaf takes place. So that is nothing but a node. So node is the region of stem from where the formation of leaf takes place or formation of branches takes place. Right? So leaf develops at the nodal region and it bears a bud in its axil. So you can see the diagram. So in the diagram, we can observe there is a particular point from where the leaf is get arise from the stem. That region is nothing but the nodal region. Clear? In between the node and the axis of the leaf, there is a region. That region is called as axil region. So axil is the region from where the bud formation takes place. So there are certain buds can be seen in the axial region. So those buds are known as axillary bud. So we have already discussed in the modification of stem, right? So in the axial position, we can see the bud in the plant, that is nothing but the axillary bud. So axillary bud modified in some plants into tendrils, into thorns for different purpose, right? What is the function of leaf? So leaf is actually green in color, right? It consists of lots of chlorophyll pigment. So because of it, it synthesizes its own food material. So leaf is a part of the plant from where the food is get synthesized. So photosynthesis, the main process, what is taking place in the plant, that actually takes place in the leaf. Clear? So in the plant, we have seen the two system. One is the root system. It grows in the soil region, and another system is the shoot system. It grows above the region of ground. So in the shoot system, there is a tip is present. That means the shoot tip is present. That shoot tip consists of very tender tissues. So that tender tissue present in the shoot tip region is called as apical meristem. So apical meristem is actually the region from where the leaf originates. Right? So initially the leaf originates from the shoot apical meristem. So there are tender tissues, meristematic tissues are present in the shoot apex region, shoot tip region. So from where the leaf originates, and they are arranged in an acropetal order. Acropetal order is nothing but the older leaves are present towards the base and younger leaves are present towards the tip. Because if you observe the plant, the shoot tip always grows, right? So the formation of new leaves takes place at the tip region. So as a result, old leaves occupies the base of the stem. So this arrangement of the leaf is called as acropetal order. That means the older leaves are present towards the base of the stem and younger leaves are present towards the tip of the stem, because the formation of leaf takes place from the apical meristem. Right. So the main function of leaf is photosynthesis. So it is a vegetative part of the plant from where the food synthesis takes place. That means the photosynthesis actual process takes place in the leaf. Yes, what are the parts of leaf? So leaf consists of three main parts. One is leaf base and the another part is petiole, then lamina. So there are three main parts we can see in the leaf. One is leaf base, then petiole, then leaf lamina. You can look into the diagram. So this is the kind of simple leaf. That means only single leaf we have here. And this leaf is get attached to the stem, right? So the point from where the leaf is get attached to the stem, that particular point is called as a leaf base. That is the first part of the leaf. Then elongated stalk like structure, what we can see in the leaf, that is called as petiole, that is labeled in the diagram. And a broad portion, what is there in the leaf, the green part, that is nothing but the lamina, right? So let us look into each part of the leaf, how it performs function. So leaf base is the first part of the leaf. So this is the portion of leaf helps in the attachment of leaf to the stem. So leaf is actually get attached to the stem by a portion called as leaf base. So leaf base is the part from where the leaf is get attached to the stem. Then it bears two lateral small leaf like structure called stipules. So on either side of the leaf base, I am not talking about the axial region now, right? Don't get confused. On the lateral side, that means on either side of the leaf base, we can observe the presence of small leaf-like structure. So the best example of plant I can give here is hibiscus plant. So in the hibiscus plant, just to observe the leaf base region, on the lateral side, on either side of the leaf base, we can clearly see the presence of small leaf-like structure. So those structures are nothing but stipules. Clear? So stipules are the small leaf-like structure. They are arised from the lateral surface of the leaf base. Then in monocots, the leaf base expands into sheath-like structure and it covers the stem partially or completely. So this will tells that not in all angiospermic plant leaf base shows the same characteristic feature. So the leaf base of the dicot plant is rigid and it is a solid structure. But if you see the leaf base of the monocot plant, the leaf base is actually expanded structure. That means it is just appears like a paper sheet, right? Because it is expanded in that manner. So that expanded structure is actually covering the stem partially in some cases. In some cases, the expanded structure completely encloses the stem. So in the monocot leaf, the leaf base is sheathing leaf base. So this you have to remember. So the kind of leaf base in the monocot leaf is sheathing leaf base. Clear? And if you come to the dicot plant, in case of the dicot plant, there are certain plants are present. They are named as leguminous plants. So legume bearing plants are called as leguminous plants, right? So in the leguminous plants, swollen leaf base is present. Leaf base is little swollen in case of leguminous plant. And such a leaf base is called as pulvinous leaf base. So this is very important, pulvinous leaf base, right? So for the point of examination, this is very important. So pulvinous leaf base is a swollen leaf base can be seen in leguminous plants, right? So in the green gram plant and in the groundnut plant, we can see the swollen leaf base that is called as pulvinous leaf base. You can observe in the diagram, in this diagram. So the leaf base is actually gets swollen in the leguminous plant, right? So the structure of the leaf base is different in monocot and dicot plant. So you can observe in the second diagram. So the second picture, what you are observing in the second diagram, that is the monocot leaf. So the leaf base of the monocot leaf is sheathing leaf base. It completely encloses the stem, right? But if you look into the dicot plant, there is no such character. So leaf base is solid, it is get attached to the stem at the nodal region. And in case of leguminous plant, the swollen leaf base will be present, that is called as pulvinous leaf base. So very next to the base, there is a one more part we can see in the leaf, that is called as petiole. What do you mean by petiole? So petiole, simply we can call it as stalk of the leaf, right? So stalk of the leaf helps in holding the leaf blade to light, right? So there is a leaf stalk is present. So this stalk like structure is called as petiole. Petiole hold the leaf blade to the light. What do you mean by leaf blade? Leaf blade is nothing but the broader portion of leaf. The lamina, leaf lamina is also called as leaf blade. So petiole hold the leaf base to light. So light is very essential. It is a raw material for photosynthesis. Clear? So in order to get the sufficient amount of sunlight, the lamina need to be get exposed properly to the sunlight. So the proper exposure of the lamina to the sunlight takes place because of the petiole, because the petiole hold the leaf blade to light. Clear? And in some plants, the petiole will be very long. So that a long thin leaf petiole allows leaf blade to flutter in wind. So the fluttering of the lamina in the wind takes place by a very long petiole of the leaf. Clear? So by fluttering the leaf in the wind, it will cool the surface of the plant. So this is what the function performed by petiole of the leaf. And very next to the petiole, there is a third part we can see in the leaf, that is called as lamina. So lamina is also called as leaf blade. So the one more terminology we use for the lamina, that is nothing but the leaf blade. It is a green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. So what do you mean by lamina? So lamina is a broader expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. So if you look into the leaf, we can see the veins and veinlets, right? So these veins and veinlets are mainly present in the lamina to circulate water and minerals required for the process of photosynthesis, right? So lamina is the part of the leaf where the photosynthesis takes place, right? And in the leaf, there is a middle prominent vein is present. That prominent middle vein is called as midrib. Have you observed the hibiscus leaf? So if you are not observed, please you go and observe the hibiscus leaf. You can clearly see the presence of midrib in the lamina. So that middle prominent vein is called as a midrib. So from the midrib, so number of lateral structures will be arises. So those are nothing but veins, and from the veins again the veinlets will be formed. So veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade. So because of the presence of the veins, the leaf is rigid and it acts as a channel of transport for water and mineral. So as I told you, veins and veinlets are the main structures in the lamina. They help to transport water and mineral to each and every corner of the leaf, right? Yes, this is about the parts of leaf. So how many parts we have studied? So the first one is leaf base and followed by petiole, and the third one is lamina. So children, you have to practice a diagram of the leaf, because in the examination many times they have asked that particular concept. So you have to practice the diagram with niche labeling, and also you should learn the description of each and every part of the leaf. Then let us move to the one more concept, that is venation. What do you mean by venation? So when we studied about the lamina, we understood that In the lamina, the veins and veinlets are present. What is the function of veins and veinlets? So they are the networks. They transport water and mineral to each and every cell of the leaf, right? So the veins and veinlets, they are arranged in a particular manner. So in some of the leaves we can see the network of the veins and veinlets, but in some leaves they are not forming the network, right? So the arrangement of veins and veinlets within the leaf lamina is known as venation. So how can we define the venation? Venation is nothing but the arrangement of veins and veinlets in the leaf lamina. So there are two types of venation can be seen in different groups of angiospermic plant. So the one type of venation is reticulate venation. So venation is of how many types? Two types. So one of the type of venation is reticulate venation. What do you mean by reticulate venation? So in case of reticulate venation, the veinlets are arranged in the form of network within the lamina. So within the lamina, veinlets are arranged in the form of network. Network is nothing but the veinlets, they are get connected with one another. So this connection of veinlets shows the network in the leaf lamina. So such a arrangement is called as reticulate venation. So which plants are actually showing the reticulate venation? So reticulate venation can be seen in the dicot plants. So in the dicot plants, the leaves are showing reticulate venation. You can look into the diagram. So in the diagram, the midrib is labeled. So midrib is nothing but the middle prominent line, prominent vein, what we can see in the lamina, that is called as midrib. And from the midrib, veins will be get arised, right? And from the veins, there is a veinlets will be arised. So how the veinlets are arranged here? They are arranged in the form of network, right? So the veinlets are connected with each other and form a huge network in the leaf lamina. So when the veinlets are forming the network in the lamina, such a venation is called as reticulate venation. And the second type of venation is parallel venation. So what do you mean by parallel venation? So the veins are arranged parallel to each other within the lamina. So here we are not talking about veinlets. So in some of the leaves, veins are arranged parallel to each other. So such an arrangement of vein is called as parallel venation. So this is the leaf of the plant showing parallel venation. You can see the central axis of the leaf is the midrib, and from the midrib the lateral veins are arised. Those are named as veins, right? So the veins are parallel with one another. They are not going to meet with each other, right? So they are very parallel with one another within the leaf lamina. So this kind of arrangement is called as parallel venation. So because the veins are arranged very parallel with one another, the venation is called as parallel venation, right? So which plants are showing parallel venation? Monocot plants. So in the monocot plants, the leaf lamina shows the parallel arrangement of veins. So that kind of venation is called as parallel venation, right? So this is very important concept. So definition you have to learn with respect to the venation, and you should learn the types of venation. It is very simple concept to understand, right? So venation is nothing but what? Arrangement of veins and veinlets in the leaf lamina. What are the two types of venation? Reticulate venation and parallel venation, right? Yes, let us study about the types of leaves. So basically there are two types of leaves can be seen. So one of the leaf is simple leaf and the another type is compound leaf. So leaves are of two types. So the first type is simple leaf and the second type is compound leaf. So how can we define the leaf as a simple leaf? What do you mean by simple leaf? So leaf is said to be simple when the leaf lamina is entire or the incisions of the lamina do not touch the midrib. So the best example of simple leaf is hibiscus leaf. So if you take the hibiscus leaf, the leaf lamina is entire, right? So the what kind of margin we can see in the leaf lamina of hibiscus? So we can see cut ends, right? So those cut ends are nothing but incisions. So incisions in case of simple leaf do not touch the midrib, right? So suppose if it is touch the midrib, that kind of leaf we are not considering as a simple leaf. Understood? So leaf is said to be simple only when the lamina is entire or the incisions of the lamina do not touch the midrib. So such a leaf is called as simple leaf. And what do you mean by compound leaf? So compound leaf is a leaf where the incisions of the lamina reach up to the midrib and breaking it into a number of leaflets. So this is very important in this case. So we are calling the leaf as a compound leaf only when the incisions of the lamina reach up to the midrib. So when the incision reach up to the midrib, that divides the entire lamina into number of leaflets. So such a leaf is called as a compound leaf. So can you give me any example of compound leaf? So one of the best example of compound leaf is neem leaf, or you can also give the example of curry leaves, right? So the first diagram, what is there on the screen is the simple leaf. Then the second diagram is the compound leaf. Understood, right? So simple leaf is a leaf where the leaf lamina is entire. You can observe in the first diagram, leaf lamina is actually entire and incisions of the lamina do not touch the midrib in simple leaf. And in case of compound leaf, incisions, that means the cut ends of the lamina touch the midrib and break it into number of leaflets. You can see from the main midrib, number of leaflets are arised, right? So when the number of leaflets are get attached with the main midrib, such a leaf is called as compound leaf. Clear? Then the next concept is types of compound leaves. So compound leaves divided into two different types. So one of the type of compound leaf is pinnately compound leaf and the second one is palmately compound leaf. So based on what the compound leaf is divided, so based on from where the leaflets are get arised, the compound leaves divided into two types. One is pinnately compound leaf and another one is palmately compound leaf. So let us look into the first type, pinnately compound leaf. So why it is called as pinnately compound leaf? In case of pinnately compound leaf, number of leaflets are present on the main common axis called rachis. You just look into the first diagram. So in the first diagram, the leaf is a compound leaf, right? So there is a common axis is present in the leaf that is called as a rachis. So from the rachis, number of leaflets are arised, right? So the number of leaflets are present on the common axis of the rachis. So such a type of compound leaf is called as pinnately compound leaf. So in the neem leaf and in the curry leaf, we can observe this kind of arrangement of leaflets. So the leaflets are get attached to the common axis called as a rachis. So such a kind of compound leaf is called as pinnately compound leaf. Then the second type is palmately compound leaf. So palmately compound leaf shows the characteristic appearance like palm. So in our palm, so the 5 fingers are get attached to the common point, right? So in the similar way, in case of palmately compound leaf, the number of leaflets are attached at a common point. Clear? So when the number of leaflets are get attached to the common point, so such a type of compound leaves are called as palmately compound leaf because it gives the appearance of palm shape. So that all the leaflets are get attached to the common point, that is the tip of the petiole. So from the tip of petiole, number of leaflets are get attached. So based on from where the leaflets are get arised, the compound leaves are divided into two types: pinnately compound leaf and palmately compound leaf. Right? So this is about the types of compound leaf.